Hello, everyone, and welcome to our service for Sunday, December 20th of 2020. Today, I'm going to be doing a metaphysical interpretation of the readings of Christmas. So we start with the birth of Christmas from Luke chapter 2, verses 1 to 14. In those days, Caesar Augustus issued a decree that a census should be taken of the entire Roman world. This was the first census that took place while Quirinius was governor of Syria, and everyone went to their own town to register. Caesar Augustus refers to that part of us that is the individual consciousness that rules reason and will without any aspect of our spiritual self. This is the natural attitude of the person that doesn't take into consideration any of the spiritual aspects of life. This part of us deals with only the earthly human part of our life. At this time, it's the human part of us that wants to know what is happening in life. So Joseph also went up from the town of Nazareth in Galilee to Judea, to Bethlehem, the town of David, because he belonged to the house and line of David. He went there to register with Mary, who was pledged to be married to him and was expecting a child. While they were there, the time came for the baby to be born, and she gave birth to her firstborn son. She wrapped him in cloths and placed him in a manger because there was no room available for them. Joseph and Mary represent wisdom and love, which were ideas in mind, but are now coming forth into manifestation, into substance. They traveled from Nazareth to Judea to Bethlehem. Nazareth represents commonplace or inferior in a sense. Judea means praise or spiritual recognition. Bethlehem symbolizes the abiding place of substance, and in this case, spiritual substance. So in consciousness, we move from that commonplace way of looking at life from the outside in to a place where we begin to look at life from a deeper meaning, that what we see with our eyes, and we begin to see from a more spiritual way, a more spiritual state of consciousness. As we do this, we are naturally moving to the state of consciousness where our own Christ self can be reborn. So why no room in the inn? The inn represents that part of us that is so busy with the daily doings of life that there is no room for anything spiritual. The stable represents the part of us that is quiet, soft, and listening. For it is only in the quiet part of us that the Christ within can actually be reborn again. And there were shepherds living out in the fields nearby, keeping watch over their flocks at night. An angel of the Lord appeared to them, and the glory of the Lord shone around them, and they were terrified. But the angel said to them, "Do not be afraid. I bring you good news that will cause great joy for all people. Today in the town of David, a Savior has been born to you. He is the Messiah, the Lord. This will be a sign to you. You will find a baby wrapped in cloths and lying in a manger." So the shepherds are the parts of us that keep watch over our thoughts and feelings. It's that part of us that's doing its best to control those thoughts and feelings so that they don't get out of line with who we are. The angels are our spiritual perspective qualities, which are always in contact with God, the God part of ourselves. When we use the affirmation, "I am," we are actually calling forth the angelic realm to do our bidding. In the case of the Christmas story, the angels are appearing to that part of us that struggles to keep our thoughts under control and is letting us know that a greater part of us is being born, that will take all our thoughts and have them be only for the sake of good and God. And now from Luke chapter 2, verses 15 to 19. When the angels had left them and gone into heaven, the shepherds said to one another, "Let's go to Bethlehem and see this thing that has happened, which the Lord has told us about." So they hurried off and found Mary and Joseph and the baby who was lying in the manger. When they had seen him, they spread the word concerning what had been told to them about the child. And all who heard it were amazed at what the shepherds said to them. But Mary treasured all these things and pondered them in her heart. When the Christ of God within us is born, the human part of us that's been struggling to control the things around us chooses to reside in the state of consciousness of substance, place where the truth of us lies. When we find this truth, we want to share it with others. But the part of us that is the pure love just sits in the quiet and holds it in their own heart. And now from Matthew chapter 2, verses 1 to 12. After Jesus was born in Bethlehem in Judea, during the time of King Herod, Magi from the east came to Jerusalem and asked, "Where is the one who has been born King of the Jews? We saw his star when it rose and have come to worship him." When King Herod heard this, he was disturbed, and actually all of Jerusalem with him. When he had called together all the people's chief priests and teachers of the law, he asked them where the Messiah was to be born. "In Bethlehem in Judea," they replied, "for this is what the prophet had written. But you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah, for out of you will come a ruler who will shepherd my people Israel." Then Herod called the Magi secretly and found out from them the exact time the star had appeared. He sent them to Bethlehem and said, "Go and search carefully for the child, and as soon as you find him, report to me, so that I too may go and worship him." So Herod represents the ego part of us that does not want to give up its anger, jealousy, pain, resentment, or any other human condition. It feels threatened when we might be giving in to a higher state of consciousness where love, peace, forgiveness, harmony all reside. The Herod parts of us want to hold on to all the negative it can and will do anything to keep that pain, resentment, and anger alive, no matter what it takes, even recreating the same events over and over again. The three kings, or the wise men, represent the stored up resources of the soul, which rise to the surface when stirred up by a great spiritual revelation. They are the inner realms of consciousness that have kept all the records of past lives, past thoughts, feelings. And these wise men represent the wisdom that is carried within the soul from previous incarnations. The East represents our inner state of consciousness. The gifts they bring to the Christ child are the inner resources of spirit. Gold represents the riches of spirit, frankincense, the beauty of spirit, and myrrh, the eternity of spirit. The star that the wise men saw represents intuition. They were guided in all they do by intuition. So when we allow the wisdom of our innate being to come forth and be guided by intuition, we can overcome the Herod part of ourselves and bring forth the riches, beauty, and the life of our own Christ. It's up to us to begin the process of listening to the Christ spirit of intuition within our own beings. After they had heard the king, they went on their way, and the star that they had seen when it rose and went ahead of them until it stopped over the place where the child was. When they saw the star, they were overjoyed. On coming into the stable, they saw the child and his mother Mary, and they bowed down and worshiped him. Then they opened their treasures and presented him with gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And having been warned in a dream not to go back to Herod, they returned to their country by another route. The wise part of us follows the intuition that is inherent with us. It guides us to that place within where our own Christ self has been born. And we awaken to the knowledge that we ourselves have been presented with these special gifts of prosperity, beauty, and life. They don't return to their ego ways, nor do they fight the ego of their own being by going back where the Herod within lives. But instead, they return to their own place of peace and harmony by finding a new way to travel in life. And so too it is with us. We also can find a new way to travel in life. At this time of Christmas, we're celebrating the rebirth of the light of God within our own selves, our own being, our own lives. Each one of us is the light of God on this planet. Each of us is the love of God on this planet. Each of us is the extension of all that God is on this planet. So if you choose to light a candle today, first I invite you to look at it. Just look at it, just as it sits unlit beside you. It does not shine its light. Its light is within it, ready to burn and come forth into the world. But the same is with you. That candle is just waiting for you to strike that match and bring it to life. You have been waiting for God, or source, whatever you wish to call it, to spark something in you and bring forth the light that you are into this world. So now, if you want to take a match and light that candle, let that candle sit beside you. And as you look at it, just know that the Spirit of God, the light of God, that spark of God has been lit in your heart also, ready to come forth and spread the light of God onto this planet. So from this day forward, when you get ready to light that candle, whether it be for your own special altar or just a special place in your house, before you light it, realize that this is you waiting for the spark of spirit to spark again and light again. The Christ of God in you that resides in you, always ready to shine forth, to shine for this light, because you are the light of God on this earth. Namaste, everyone. Have a beautiful day, and God bless.